All right, next lesson. And as you know from the other day, I don't have to give you the whole spiel about Benedict Arnold again anyway, because that's going to be on the back here. Okay, rounding off mixed numbers. So to round a mixed number to a whole number, drop the fraction if it's less than half. If the fraction is greater, drop the fraction, add 1 to the whole number. All right, so before we do that, we have to make sure we understand what is greater than a half and what is less than a half. All right, so if you have 1/2 and 2/7, you can ask yourself, okay, look at 2/7. What would be half of 7? Half of 7 is like 3.5. And this is only 2 out of 7. So that's less than half. So put the big alligator mouth towards the half because it is bigger. We have 1/2 and 2/3. What is half of 3? Half of 3 is 1.5, right? So 2 is greater than that. 3/5, what's half of 5? 2.5, right? So 3 is greater than that. 5/9, what's half of 9? Half of 9 is 4.5. So 5 is bigger than a half. Now let's round these off to the whole number. So based on what we just did, we can round these off very quickly. So I look at 3 2/3. I know that 2/3 is more than half. So I'm going to round it up to a 4. That's all you do. 6.5. Half is the break-off point. So once you get to half, you round up. 3/5 is more than half because half of 5 is 2.5. So like 2.5 fifths would be half. 3/5 is more than half. So we go up. 3/4 is 75%, more than 50%, more than half. So we round up. I'm not sure. 1/10, well, half of 10 is 5, so it's way smaller than a half. So 11 stays. 5 7/8, half of 8 is 4, so 7's way more. So we round it up. Now we're going to divide and round these to the nearest whole number. All right, so if we have to round to the nearest whole number, we can just look at our fraction, our remainder, all right? Or we could take it, I'll do it both ways. Do it as a fraction, do it as a decimal. So with 6, I'll do it as a fraction. 13 divided by 6, 6 goes in that twice. And I'm left with 1 as a remainder, right? So I have 2 and 1/6. What's half of 6? 3, right? So this is less than half. So I'm rounding to 2 on this one. Now let me do it as a decimal on this one. 8 into 49, that would be 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. I have a 1, so I can add a decimal here. 8 goes into 10 one time. That's not 7, that's a 1. Okay? At that point, 6.1 tells me not to round it up. Okay, let's go back to a fraction. 5 into 37, 7 times. Hey, Ryden, I need you quiet. There's a 2. Add a decimal. 5 into 20 is a 4. 7.4 still will not round up. 5 would be the break-off point. Now let's do as a fraction. 9 into 10 once. 1 left over. 9 into 16 once. 7 left over, so that's 7/9. 7/9, half of 9 is 4.5. So 7/9 is more than a half. So that 11 will round up to a 12. Okay? Study the illustrations and round the blue sections to the nearest whole number. So I have 2 wholes and 2/3 of a whole. That will round up to 3. I have 3 wholes and 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 3 and 3/8. 3/8 is less than half. 4/8 would be half. So we'll keep it as a 3. We're just rounding, okay? All right, now let's get to Benedict Arnold. All right, so in which century, we read this yesterday, right? If you have to read it again, you can pause me and read it. In which century was Arnold born? Okay, was he born in the 16th century, the 17th century, or the 18th century, or the 19th century? So this is the big question. He was born in 1741, okay? So let me just tell you, from 1700 to 1799, that would be the 18th century, okay? Once we get to 1800, that would be the 19th century. So the century is always like 100 up from what the number is, all right? So if it says he was born in 1741, he was born in the 18th century, okay? B, how old was Arnold when he died? So he died in 1801. He was born in 1741. The easiest thing to do is do 1800 minus 1741. Well, I guess you could do 1801. Why can't we? Well, I know why I do that, because I do it in my head all the time, and then I add that one. But if we're going to do it on paper, we can just put the 1. 1801 minus 1741. Hey guys, I'm videoing. I'm almost done. Oh, I don't know why I did that, because I'm focused on them. All right, let's try it again. 0. So to me, it looks like he was 60.
Well, because you're too tall.
How many years did he give war secrets to the British? So it said he gave year info to the British for 16 months. So 12 months would be 1 year, right? That leaves me with 4 months out of 12 months. And that reduces to 1/3. Am I correct? So 1 1/3 years, does that look right to you? About what percent is, oh, total change of question, right? Oh, that's because they gave him the 20,000 pounds. About what percent is 6,315 pounds compared to the 20,000 pounds he expected? So it's 6,315 over 20,000. They show us that part. So I'm going to erase this so I have room to work. All right. So first of all, let's reduce that. I'm going to reduce it by 5 to begin with, okay? So it goes into 6. 5 goes into 6 one time. That gives me 1. I'm kind of doing this in my head. And then 5 goes into 13 2 times with 3 left over. So now we have 31. 5 goes into 31 6 times with 1 left over. So now I have 15. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 goes into 24 times and then 3 zeros. Question. Can I reduce that anymore? I don't know. It doesn't go into 3, 9, 10, because the bottom number doesn't go into 3. It doesn't go into 4, because the last 2 digits don't go into 4. I think that might be as small as we can get. I might be wrong, but we'll soon find out. So this is 1,263 divided by 4,000, right? Well, it doesn't go into that at all, so I better add a decimal right away. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. So this is a 3. And that would be 12,000. Now I have 630. Add another 0. 4 goes into 6,000 once. Right? I'm going to get a slightly... Wait. Yeah. I'm getting a slightly big... Oh. We have to round it. That's why. Okay. That's... 4. But mine would round up. Well, let me see what they're probably doing here. Okay. I think I'm doing this right. I mean, I'm getting close to what they have because all their answers end in a 0. So I'm going to have to round it to the nearest one. That's what I'm going to have to do. All right, so I have 31 at this point. I really don't need to go any further based on what they have up here in the circles. So my 0.31 or 31% is closest to what? Oh, and did you notice right here this word? About. That's why. All right, about how many square miles are in 13,400? Now, this is where I totally forget the, let me erase this. Square miles in an acre, right? And I totally forget that. So I'm going to Google it. How many square miles are in an acre? Wait. Maybe I should do it the other way around. I probably should pause you while I do this so I look smarter, but I'm not going to. How many acres are in a square mile? Okay, so 1 square mile equals 640 acres. You probably already knew that. I can't remember those measurements. All right. So how many, what did I say? There's 640 acres in a square mile. So how many square miles is 13,400? So I can divide that by this, I believe. And we can get rid of this and this, right? 64, I believe, will go into this twice and no more. Just guessing. Let's see, 8 and 12, yeah. At that point, I have 60, which I'm going to have to add a decimal. Oh, no. I'm going to add, oh, I brought down this, so that's a 0. And at that point, they up top are not asking me for anything specific. They just want about. And even though this is going to go into the decimal, my closest one is going to be 20. Which amount of money is a possibility for his wealth at death? Would it be 5,000 pounds or negative 5,000 pounds? Well, look at your two options. 5,000 pounds means he has about 5,000 pounds in money. He has that money, which is more than dollars, by the way. It'd probably be about $8,000, which would be a lot of money at that time period. This is negative. That means he's in debt, right? Well, what does it say at the end of the story? He died defeated, scorned, and in debt. So which one is more likely that he has? This one. All right. The rest of them I'm going to leave up to you. Remember, with the missing numbers down below, to figure them out, you just do the opposite. So if you're missing part of an addition problem, just do subtraction to figure out the missing number. It's almost like putting an X there and making an equation. Opposite of subtraction, do addition. Well, no, that one you can't. If it was, well, they don't have another one where you could do that. You would still subtract. Let me get rid of this. You would do 100 minus 33, and that would give you 67, right? But let me show you when you could add it. If they were missing the 100 and you had the 67 equals 33, at that point you would add these two to get that one. In multiplication, you can definitely do division to find it. 364 divided by 52. In this one, think of as an equation problem. X over 16 equals 83. What would you do in your equations? You would do 16 here to get rid of it, right? And then you would do 83 times 16 on this side. and that will give you your answer. All right, I'm going to stop here and let you finish the rest on your own.